So, Gary Selex, how are you, mate?
Am I very good? How are you?
Brilliant. Welcome to The Tub. This is Take You Back podcast, where we just take you back, mate. We want to
Okay.
get your story and,
Yeah.
get it out there for the people to listen to.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a bit of a long one, so it's going to be in two parts. Take it away. Where did it all begin for you, mate?
It all started in a little village in Haydock. Just influences through school, through music. Break dancing was big back in the day. You had hip hop, body popping. The cinema was showing all like the main breakdancing films. I remember a time where the main cinema in St Helens was showing like one of the breakdance films. I think it was Breakdance 1.
Right.
And all the kids got up at the end of the stage and just did breakdancing on front of the stage when the film had finished because it was that influential on people's lives at that time.
Yeah. What was that, the 80s?
Late 80s, early 90s. And then there was, people were going into like the labour clubs and things like that, and youth clubs was big. We had a youth club in Haydock and there was a crew, and if you were good then you get to like challenge the other crew, and there was Digital Boogie and Kamikaze Rock. I've still got the tape somewhere with all the original like tracks that was on it. I just went from there really, and I started like knocking about with another group of lads, and I got into Public Enemy, NWA, all the rap groups and things like that, and then Ice-T was a big one for me. I was into graffiti. You get with graffiti, I used to do like just graffiti artists. They used to be like practice all the time, doing drawings, and mates would say, "Oh, that's amazing," So I've always been like talented in a way, but because obviously I'm not like the most confident person, I just keep it to myself. And then my mates would say, "Oh, you should do something with that."
Yeah.
But you start having that confidence because we were bullied at school.
Right.
Like high school was pretty terrible for me.
Was it?
Yeah, the teacher said like you never amount to nothing, but it was just through different things and speaking to the right people. My brother's older than me. He was a big influence on me. He used to say, leave all the people behind and come back in another 5 years and move on with your life, and they'll still be doing the same thing as what they're doing now. And you go for what you want to do.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like I said, the break dancing was a big thing, the rap thing, and then from the rap thing, I had a bit of an experience, should we say, where I was out on the park one night, and there was sort of like a light going up at the top of the hill, and there was a dark place going down.
Right.
So I remember looking back and I think if I'd have gone down that dark place, that was looking like jail. So that's where I would have ended up if I'd have carried on the path I was on.
Yeah.
And there was a path in front of me with a big light on the front of it. So I followed that path and I've never looked back since. So that was kind of a big moment for me.
Enlightenment, really.
Then I started hanging around with another slightly older people than me. They introduced me to Wigan Pier.
Right. How old was you then?
I was about 17 at the time. And that was...
Was that in Haydock still?
No. That was... through Haydock, yeah. The car would pick me up and it would take us off to Wigan Pier.
Yeah.
They did like an under-18s event.
Right.
Went to them. And once I'd turned 18 then, I used to go to the proper events. I remember like Pier used to be rammed. You almost like when the doors opened, you used to nearly get crushed. It was that busy back then. But I didn't really take to Pier. And some of the other lads, the older lads, they'd have these tapes on from Legends. And I was like, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
So I remember once I got on the bus with my friend and we both went to Legends.
What differentiated it then? What was the music? What was differentiated the music?
The more funky style, and I found out now later on, obviously, you learn different things. A lot of it was old Italian with the piano.
Yeah.
So the synth and the thing was always a big thing for me. They play a few of the tracks in Pier, but they play more the classic old school, what was being around that time.
The breakbeat stuff.
I used to buy tapes, like Vertigo tapes. They were massive. I used to listen to Vertigo tapes. I'd go all the way to Liverpool on the bus just to go to this Groove Records to buy tapes.
Right.
From Vertigo. When the next one came out, you'd go and get it and listen to it. But all the time I wanted to go to Legends, and I went a few times. On my 19th birthday, I got with a group of people from Ince, it was, on my 19th birthday. And I remember that night like it was yesterday. You were in the past where you'd heard decks being slowed down. You knew only one deck was being slowed down. In Legends, you was in the middle of this thing, this crowd of people. They'd switch all the decks off, right, and then another one would start up because he had like 4 decks in there.
Right, yeah.
And Mike Woods and Noggy were so influential on me. I look back at them and like they were like gods to me. And I remember thinking, I don't want to play in clubs anymore. I want to be where they are.
Yeah.
And that was basically going through Legends what started me on my journey to wanting to become a DJ. I didn't know how I was going to do it, you know.
Yeah.
I spoke to my parents about it. I'd done that many things. They'd paid out for that much stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
as you do when you're younger.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
you do all sorts of things.
Judo, you know,
Yeah.
they, you know how it is.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Your parents got involved with stuff, and they were like, they didn't believe it. They just thought it was just going to be a fad. But my influence through my father, he was like always into his music, and he used to put headphones on me when I was little and things like that, and leave me listening to different types of music. So I think with the music side of it, it's always been like, it was always been there.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to get to these. I had flyers all over my wall. I used to see all these names and things like that. And you just...
I think that's part of being growing up as a kid. I mean, everyone that's kind of into the music now, we all had flyers all over our walls. It was kind of a sense of like who you were as a. It was like part of your personality. It was part of who you were, wasn't it? Like my room used to be full of them. Everything. I used to have a UV light in there. Everyone used to come to my house and smoke a spliff or whatever, and like it was, and everyone used to sit there, and it was mad. I used to have them all over. But and then I remember my it was actually a bit of a sad story, really, to be honest. My stepdad made me paint my room one day. Came into my life at the age of 14, to be fair. Sorry to go into my thing a bit, but it's just about the flyers. And he made me paint my room one day, so I've took all my flyers down, and I've collected these flyers for years. I had old Zone ones from like the early Zone ones, like original flyers, and I was, that was my thing. That's what my thing as a kid. And he made me take them all down, and I put them all in a bag, and he binned the bag. He binned everything, all my flyers.
I still got all mine in carrier bags.
I'm still heartbroken about it today. You know what I mean? It's horrible.
It does affect you. Yeah.
But that's stepdad's for you, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, sorry, mate. Carry on, crack on with what you were saying.
And then obviously, growing more into it, another club opened in St Helens called Applebee's.
Right.
And I remember going there on a Thursday night, and there was a DJ on from Haydock. All the while this was going on, Welly was big. He was on Hitman and Her, the guy who took me into his room and took me away from rap music. I mean, I owe him everything because he showed me a different style of the dark side of rap music.
Right.
He showed me hip-hop, he showed me graffiti, he showed me, all the influential records that were around at that time influenced my life.
Yeah.
You've got your sounds of Man Paris, Boogie Down Bronx is a massive track for me growing up.
Yeah.
He showed me all that. He went in his room and it was like, he was good at everything though.
Yeah, well, he was
My brother knew Paul before I knew him.
Right.
I got introduced to him. He was great on a BMX before he got into DJing. Yeah. But as I was growing up, he was growing up, getting bigger and being on at Wigan Pier.
Yeah.
He'd played at the Pleasure Dome and Farnworth. And I went to this club one night in St Helens. There was another DJ on who I got told about, Paul Newton,
right.
DJ Demand.
Right, yeah.
Right? And he played a Thursday night. And I remember walking back from St Helens with my friends, and we were just all amazed by the tunes, what we'd heard, like, Party People and things like that. It was on this tape, what I used to have. And I got hold of that tape from the Thursday night. It was one of my best tapes, what I ever had. And it kind of went from there. Do you remember a shop called Index?
No.
Well, there was a shop opened up to try and compete with Argos back in the day.
Oh, Index, sorry, it was like the snide version of Argos, wasn't it?
It was like a smaller version of Argos,
yeah. Sorry,
there was a mixer in there.
Right. I thought you meant a DJ. I thought you meant a DJ shop then.
No, it was a Chaos something mixer, and I was working. Back then, I was doing like courses,
right.
And I was working on this course called Margaret Bardsley's, and what it did, it taught you all like business management and things like that.
Yeah.
But all the while, all I could think about was, saving. I was going to get the money for this mixer. Anyway, I managed to get like a little part-time job, and I got this mixer from Index.
Right.
because it was so expensive back then. You had all like your catalogs, your DJ magazines, and all that. They used to have the adverts in there for the shops.
Yeah.
They were so expensive, and this mixer was in there, and I got it. And I remember just one night kneeling on my floor with no decks next to it, just thinking how good it would be just to have decks next to it.
Pretending that there's decks on it. Yeah.
I spoke to my parents. They didn't really have a clue what it was what it was about. We went to a car boot sale.
Yeah.
And they purchased these 2 decks.
Right.
And they had like one of them. They were so old, and they had like a fader on one side, which was a bit of a mixer on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was around. I've still got the tape somewhere about 91. It was.
Right.
I made this tape, and I put like. I still don't know how I managed to do it to this day. I made it like a preamp thing where the headphones projected the sound back again, so I could do some form of mixing.
Right, okay.
Like I said, I've always been, if I wanted something, I've always like found a way to do it.
Same as me, mate.
And I
Exactly
recorded it,
me,
so I've still got this tape. I mean, the mixing is up to nothing. It doesn't even probably beat match or anything like that. But to me, that was the turning point because my parents saw how much I was into it.
Yeah.
Then Richer Sounds.
Right, yeah.
Was big back then. They had some decks in. I can't remember what, mate. Pacific. They were called, I can't remember the name of them anyway. And they had pitch control, but it was on the front on a roller.
Right.
So I spoke to a few people, and they said, you know, why don't you get them before you do your step up to your main decks? Why don't you get these and practice with them?
Yeah, like your practice ones, yeah.
So I got them, and then I was all right with them for a bit. I learned to beat match and things like that. And I went to someone's house, who's a friend of my cousin's, and he had Technics.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I went on them, and I was scared to death because there's the change with the direct drive compared to him. And they recorded it, and he gave me a few like old like hardcore records, which were like more breakbeaties back then. We played all like Dreamscape and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
He gave me a few records to take with me in practice. Then my mum, she knew someone who had a bar in Earlstown, and the lady was getting rid of some Pro 150s. Do you remember them?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that was the turning point. That was when it all changed, I think, because once I learned how to mix with them. I mean, I used to take the belt off and put it back on when it used to come off.
Yeah.
That was the turning point for me. Once I could learn how to use them, my dad, God bless his soul, he bought me some Technics.
Right.
And it just all went from there. It just all started to change. Recording, people listening to my mixes saying, "Oh, you know, you need to just carry on with this." And there was other people in the village saying, "Oh, you know, it's just a bedroom. You'll never get out your bedroom, and you'll never do this and never do that." It makes you more determined. That's
the one. They're the ones. They're the ones you want to take on board because they're the ones that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, I'm like, right, okay.
I'm gonna prove you wrong.
And I was like, remember all that thing my brother said to me about leave them all behind? They'll still be doing the same thing. I kept practicing on my Technics, and I was in a youth, like a leisure centre where I used to play squash.
Yeah.
And I was sat down one night drinking, and my brother and my cousin had been to St Helens, and they'd obviously had a word, and after me mixing was getting a lot better, and they said, come, they want to see you at the Lord Nelson in St Helens. They want to give you a spot every Friday. They've just got rid of their DJ. Well, he used to DJ on this Friday night, so it was surreal, honestly. And I did that through like 95, 96 to like 97. Through that, I got like other little small gigs. And the
So where was your first event then? What was your first event?
My first place was the Lord Nelson.
That's the Lord Nelson, yeah.
Yeah. I used to do every Friday there. The music, it was basically what Lord Nelson was like a meeting pub. Yeah. Everyone would go there first. So I'd start like 8 o'clock till midnight, and then everyone would go off everywhere else after.
A bit like Toll Bar used to be.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone would meet up there. So like you had all these main records coming through.
Yeah.
And I only had the records that I was buying at the time. Luckily enough, I got all the Freed from Desire. Some girls went over to Benidorm, and that was a massive track over there.
Right.
You remember like how tunes you used to hear abroad first?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You don't hear nothing happens like that these days.
No,
so it gets influenced first. And I mean, we could go back to before that when I was growing up, listening to like the tapes from Applebee's. My brother was going out to like Applebee's and stuff like that because he was older than me.
Yeah.
And clubs. And he used to come in and he used to say like, oh, there's a, he'd say the name of the tracks, but it was never the right. Now we know the name of the tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
He used to call it Dream Tripper, which is Oceanic Insanity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he used to come in saying, oh, you should hear this tune, Dream Tripper. And the other one was Business, Don't Miss the Party Line. And he used to come in and say, oh, hey, DJ, where's the bass? And, and I was like, what's all these tunes? You didn't know what they were. But you're listening to your brother and he's listening to all these tracks.
So how did you find him? How did you find him?
Just, well, we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah.
So after I got my Tenix, like I said, things started to move and I got my regular DJing gig on a Friday. I was buying DJ magazine at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember being sat down on the sofa one night and I was reading a thing about mailing lists. I was still doing the Lord Nelson at the time. And some kid was moaning and he was like, when you get someone who's wrote a piece in the DJ magazine was moaning about it was so hard to get on this mailing list and all that.
Yeah. What's this?
I got up the next morning and somehow, don't know how this day I managed to do it. I rung the company and managed to, I don't know what I did, I blagged them because back then you had to.
Yeah.
If you wanted a night, they'd give you a Thursday night. If you rung up and said you want to DJ somewhere, they'd say, right, they'll try out on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Most of the DJs my age, and I hope, the ones listening will relate to this. You didn't have live streams or anything like that. You didn't have anyone recognised. You didn't know how you was going to get out there. You had all these flyers all over everywhere. And there was the DJs that were setting the places, the residencies. You used to go Maxime's and, I went to Maxime's one night and, you see these DJs and you're in awe of them.
Yeah, of course you are, yeah.
I've met most of them now. You never think you're going to meet them.
No.
Anyway, go back to where I was with the Lord Nelson. So I rang this Power Promotions.
Right.
And they gave me a try and they sent me some like proper disco-y record. And I think, like going back to it now, the reviews, because I've always been like, I've analysed everything.
Yeah.
So I would do what they wanted, the music producer would want me to do. I analysed the songs, the records, and found instead of writing negative about it, I'd find something positive to write about it.
Yeah.
And it just grew from there. I was getting records through the post in envelopes. They used to come to my mum's house all the time, weekly.
Wow.
And I was filling in these charts and faxing them off. My mum at her works used to let me go in and use the fax machine because it was all family related.
Yeah.
My uncle said no problem, I could send these faxes off, and it grew. The more positive reactions you sent, the more
records you got.
The better ones you got, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I started getting a bit of a collection together. And then I had, around that time I was into hardcore, really bad into hardcore. I was going to like Elter Skelter.
Yeah.
DJ Demand, like I said, had moved on from Applebee's. He was doing Kinetic.
Right, yeah.
He turned more into hardcore. And so, like I said, I've always had these influences around me. He was playing at one night and we went to the drum and bass arena and I was like, what's this music? It took me off into a totally different path. I'd like to question anyone that can walk through a drum and bass arena when the right music's on and not dance. It's impossible to move your feet. You've got to.
Yeah.
Right. If you like music, you'll like any kind of music, really. Apart from opera. Apart from the obviously ones like opera and jazz.
I don't mind it, mate. But I like everything. I like jazz. I like,
So
I go to the opera. I go and watch it.
We went into the hardcore arena, and Slipmat back then, he was on telly and things like. He used to do the judge and the jury program. I don't. You won't remember that.
No, I don't.
And I used to walk out the arena when he used to come on. He was proper like he'd play the harder stuff, and then Psy would come on. I'd never seen Psy before in my life. He'd come on, and he just controlled the crowd so much.
Yeah.
And I had my gig on the Friday, and you pick up bits, and you know your style and what music you want for that crowd. And that crowd on a Friday became my crowd.
Yeah.
I knew what records would bring them in.
Yeah.
What record if I put on, a few more would disappear, and how to keep them in. So, in a way, I'm glad that I started off in the Lord Nelson because it was a starting block.
Of course.
Because from that I got Turnkey. They offered me a Thursday night at the Turnkey.
Right.
Said if you do well, I said I can't do Fridays. I've already got a regular gig. So if you do well, we'll give you a Saturday night. I'd got Thursday nights going at the Turnkey. I used to play tunes like Clubheads, Kicking Hard,
Yeah.
things like that. You know, they're all just basically records what I bought. I used to go to Beat Street in Bolton, Spinning in Manchester,
Yeah.
and buy all like the latest tunes, what was coming out. Because I was getting paid. You're getting paid on a Friday, every Friday. The only money I paid out for really was a taxi because I weren't driving at the time.
So was you working at the time? Was you working as well as
You
that?
was, but back then it's different. Like agencies now, you sign up to an agency. You do so long, and then they look at you and they speak to the companies and decide more than likely you'll get a job out of it. Back then, you could choose do 1-2 days even there.
I mean, like, was you so like when I was coming up, like being an MC and you know DJ when I was younger, I was an electrician. Do you know what I mean? I did a qualification as an electrician. I did 4 years at college. As I was, you know, I was still going out to the clubs at the weekend. And it was like
I was mainly on courses, and I'd do like the odd agency work. I got my forklift license,
right, yeah,
and I was doing like the odd few 2-3 days here and there.
Right,
So I had
yeah.
money coming in,
Yeah.
plus me DJing on a Friday.
Yeah.
And then when I got paid on a Thursday from the turnkey, so you know, we're living at home. You're not paying.
Yeah, you're doing all right. Yeah.
You're doing all right. So I started my driving lessons through that. And I went to a night in Bowlers. They were putting hardcore nights on because they realised that obviously back then there was you know, you couldn't really, a lot of people couldn't afford to travel to like London to Helter Skelter and all the
Compulsion
big
in that one,
events.
was it?
Compulsion it was, yeah. And I was at a Compulsion night one night, and I was sat down and just having a beer, and just got talking to some random lad. And he said, "Oh, there's a place in Leigh. They've tried a few things, and it's not worked." Around that time, I was going to another event. What Paul demanded, but a lot of people don't know, is he went to the St Helens Council, and he approached them about doing under-18s events.
Right.
So the leisure centre in Haydock and the leisure centre in Sutton Manor, I think it was, and the other one was in St Helens Rivington Sports Arena. He put these events on, under-18s.
Yeah.
Well, they'd have like Stu Allen on there.
Right.
Stu Allen was massive back then. He was on the radio.
Yeah. Key 103, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he had these other DJs, and he just came up with, I can't remember what the night was called now. I've still got all the flyers and stuff like that. Maybe we'll talk about about that in part 2, because I'll get the flyers of what it was called. But you know, he was doing his own thing, and we was all 3 DJs, but back then were from Haydock. Was me, Welly, and Demand. We're all starting to come through the ranks, and we're all doing our own thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll go and give this thing a try. Well, next door to Welly was a lad who I used to speak to the odd times. I'd met him a few times in the youth club because he was really good at breakdancing.
Right, yeah.
And he'd had a lot of Welly's collections over the years because Welly moved to Australia. And he'd had a lot of Welly's collections over the years. And cut a long story short, he was in a bad way,
right,
with the brown stuff.
Right, yeah.
I only found this out after, when I went somewhere with him, and he stopped outside the house, and I waiting in the car, and he come back in, and he was doing all this stuff at the side of me, and I knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he went, "Take me to yours now." We'll go to yours now. He went, "I want to fill your boot full of records." And he went, "Give me 15 or 25 quid for a boot full of records." Well, I ended up with like a massive collection of records, old school, all of Welly's old collection.
Cheers,
Brown.
like
Exactly. Yeah, but you know,
I know. Yeah.
when I used to go through the records, I used to find like bits of tinfoil and stuff like that. But yeah,
yeah.
so I ended up with like a massive collection.
Yeah.
So he said to me, "Why don't we go? I'll come with you." And he's, "Why don't you go and try that thing on a Friday? And you know, give it a go."
Where was this at?
So I went down to Churchill's in Leigh. Yeah, I went down to Churchill's in Leigh, about 98, 99 it was. And anyway, we did the first event. There was about 8 or 9 people in, and some lad kept coming over to me all night, putting these bonsai records on and trying to make it hard. But I just wanted to use my music, because back then, like I said, I was getting all these records through the post. I was up front with all my music. Anyway, I've still got all the recordings from the first night we ever did.
Wow.
And there was an MC on, and I remember he saying Gary all night, and we worked the crowd. It worked really well. And there was another MC called MCE from Leigh. I walked out at the end of the night, and there was a guy sat on top of an XR3i, and he was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, we could probably try and do something." So I didn't want to push it too much. So we used to do every 2 months. And,
so who's the guy on top of the XR3i?
Was MC FEZ, the legendary FEZ.
Was
honestly,
it?
Yeah, honestly, like he just stood out. Me and him built this thing up, and I used to go out and poster. I made my own posters, like I said, with my mum's works, with it working for my uncle.
Yeah.
In a surgery, a doctor's surgery. I had everything I needed.
Yeah.
Photocopiers, everything like that. And he just let me go in and use it. And then
prescriptions.
Posters.
No, I'm joking.
No. Put these posters, and I handmade these posters.
Yeah.
Farrell used to make a few, and I'm drawn them.
Yeah.
Still got them all.
You had to though back then, didn't you? There was no.
But then we had to come up with a name. Yeah, we had to come up with a name, and my name through that time, through doing Lord Nelson and doing Turnkey, was DJ Selex. Well, I'll go through another story about the Turnkey. We had it really busy one night, and at the end of the night, I was getting paid. And there was I think it was Powerhouse Records. It was some other place in Wigan, a record shop, and Ben Trengrove worked there.
Right. Power Records?
No, before Power Records. I can't remember what it was called. And he was just a young lad working there. He hadn't started working at Pier or anything like that.
Right.
I actually did an event at Wigan Pier when I was coming through the ranks.
Right.
But we'll go through that. It was on a Wednesday night. It was a student night. So I had to come up with a name for this thing in Lee because I wanted it to work.
Yeah.
So I sat round the table one night with my mum sat opposite. I remember this night, like I never forget it. And my name was DJ Selex. It was more of an hardcore name because I was going to Skelter. I went to Hardcore Heaven for a full year. I made a pact with a friend and we went to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a famous story about that where the Burke and Ed lot were absolutely mentally whipped a hat off my head one night and I just let it go because I used to stand at the front of the stage because I wanted to be the whole time I wanted to be up there where they were.
Yeah, of course.
So I used to get through the front to try and get the best shout outs and get your name, get recognised. And they, on my birthday, on one of the Hardcore Heaven events, because I used to get my face on the videos and things like that.
Yeah.
There's a picture. I'll try and find it. I'll put it up on the internet. There's a shot of me in the crowd. It was in there was a magazine what a lot of people remember called M8 magazine.
Right. Yeah.
Which was a famous known branded magazine for
Tom
just
was on
covering
about that,
hardcore magazine. I'm in the crowd with a horn pointing back then in 96, 97 with this crowd at the front.
Wow.
And honestly, to get there and
brings you back.
You never forget where you come from.
No, yeah.
So on my birthday event, Impact Records was big at the time. They used to throw records out. DJ Seduction's label would throw records out to the crowd. And I bought this Impact Records jacket. Do you remember the MA2 jackets, the big bomber jackets?
Yeah.
And it had Impact Records on the back. So you used to have to wait for 2 hours for the coach to come for you. So we're all a mess in the morning, waiting for to the coach to come.
Yeah.
We had a bit of pink champagne and all that. And you go all night. So wait for this coach anyway. These Scousers are on the coach.
Yeah.
So they obviously thought they were at the back of the coach. I'll never forget it. There was me and a couple of friends, and they were rabbiting on, and slowly you got the gist of it. And they obviously thought we were going to be getting off near Liverpool, and they had half the idea to whiz this coat off me, and it was brand new.
Yeah.
Little did they know that I went and spoke to the driver. The driver did a decoy, and we ended up banging on the windows in Earlstown because I lived in Haydock. The guy stopped at Earlstown train station. We were banging on the window as it drove off. We were giving him the fingers because the plan was foiled. I was already one step ahead of it. So that's a good story. I'll never forget that one.
So the name Gary Selex.
Yeah, we'll go back to that. So like I said, we was sorry, going off the beaten track.
No, it's all right, mate.
Sat round the table with my mum.
Yeah.
And I came up with this name, and I thought, that'll work. Call it Meltdown, because I wanted to build up a night and melt it down at the end of the night, because I wanted to build up a night and then finish it with because back then you were the Vertigo tapes. They used to start off and take you on a journey.
Yeah, of course.
And would finish with like a piano-y track or a,
Yeah.
you always had a starting track back then.
Yeah.
You always had a finishing track.
Yeah.
And that's where my influence, hopefully my sets come across like that, because I'll have a set starter. I'll always set my sets in a certain way, and I'll always end them in a certain way. So I came up with this name, Meltdown, because it would work. We'll melt it down at the end of the night, because it's time for everyone to leave. You want everyone to go. You don't want, So I came up with this name, Meltdown. And I jiggled the words DJ Selex around with my name, and I came up with Gary Selex. And it just works. Everything from that day on just worked. We built up the event at Churchill's. People started hearing the tapes, the recordings, the odd ones that got out. People were talking about it, different things. I was having parties. My parents had like caravans in Wales and stuff like that. They used to go off all the time. So having parties at my house. I met a couple of friends who we're still friends with now, DJ Furky and Thorpe and people like that. We all used to come back. Farrell used to come back after he'd done, after he'd been off places. And he went off one night, and he must have been to Maxime's. Well, I'd been to Maxime's a few times. There was one famous night where we came back from church. We went back from Churchill's, and when we got there, Sam White was with some girl, and she didn't want him to go on the decks.
Right.
And I met Ricky and that outside, and they got us in for nothing. And Farrell was in there, and that. The decks were where the lighting rig is back then. It was with the original Maxime's. It wasn't on that massive stage. So I had these bag of records, and I went on, and I must have done something, whatever I did. I just played music. But I must have triggered something to Pete Midgley or Gary Hypnotic to him to say, it
was this
must
guy.
have been the tunes, I didn't think nothing of it. It just walked out at the end of the night. Didn't think nothing of it. And I was having a party and was chilling out at home.
So was that instead of Sam White then?
Yes, I went on and finished.
Why didn't she want him to go on the decks?
He'd been on and she didn't want him to go on, and he asked would I go on and do this set. So I did it. I mean, like I said, I didn't know what was going to come off it. Thanks to everyone, honestly. Thanks to everyone who knows me in the scene, who's helped me out. Gary Hypnotic's been a massive influence, but we'll go through that. That'll probably be more on part 2.
Yeah, of course.
So
you got the phone call, did you?
No, it wasn't a phone call. We were having a party. Like I was in my parents' house. Farrell came back. And I remember him saying, he went, "You're a wanted man, you." And I was like, "I've not upset anyone. What are you on about?" Thinking someone was going to wanted it and that.
You couldn't upset anyone.
No.
Bloody hell.
And I hope not anyway. I was like, what you think? You just think, I've given loads of tapes in to there and nothing's come of it. Hypnotics had loads of tapes. Maxine had loads of me tapes and nothing came of it. Farrell went, no, do another tape without MCs and you'll get on at Zone. So I was like, Matt, I'll do one more tape and that's it. I'm not doing no more.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did this tape, didn't think nothing of it. And I was going to Melody House back then. I got introduced to Melody House. I was going there buying records. And I was on my way to Melody House one day and I got a phone call. It was Debbie D.
Right.
And she's like, "It's Debbie, hi, how are you doing? It's Debbie D from Zone, I've heard your tape, it's really good, and I want you to come down and DJ for us."
How did that make you feel?
Yeah, because Churchill's was pretty big back then, and Farrell will tell you when he comes in himself. We did this other night called Juicy Lucy's. It was a legendary night.
Yeah.
We ended up playing hardcore at the end of the night. And I think what came about from what I'm hearing now through different stories, listening to Farrell when he's done a few of his talks, he went off and spoke to people after doing Juicy Lucy's and started Sanctuary.
Yeah.
So we started off on a journey together.
Yeah.
And I've always known Farrell would develop into something.
Yeah.
It's kind of I always knew something was there. An icon, I always knew he'd grow into something.
Of course, yeah.
So we sort of grew together. Because there was only me and him DJ. There was me DJing and him MCing. Like we used to let Thorpe on the odd times and Furky, but they were more into like the harder stuff.
Yeah.
But because I wanted
Faster.
Meltdown, yeah. Like Rachel Auburn and things like that.
Yeah,
used to play, but I wanted to keep it, more of the records that I'd been sent through the post. So, but honestly, there's about 30 to 40 tapes still unreleased of Meltdown. People keep saying, when you're going to release these tapes? There'll come a day where they'll get released.
Get them out there, man. This is the time to do it now. This is, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Get a
yeah,
USB
yeah, I know
sorted.
what you're saying.
Get a USB sorted and get them out
and,
there, definitely.
There was a famous night, because a lot of the DJs were from out of town for Zone. I was local, so they used to put me on other events. So the Temple in Bolton was open at the time.
Yeah.
And there was a night called Party, and I got invited to that. Well, I was still doing Churchill's at the time, and a few other places around that time as well. And I did the first hour, and there was very
For where? Zone?
I did. It was called Party.
Oh, Party. Yeah. Sorry.
And it was one of the Hypnotics nights, and I remember it. I'll never forget it. There was the Chris, my good mate Chris Hart, was on doing the lights at the time, and he was doing all these amazing lighting effects and all that. And there was some guy really struggling next to him, and he was struggling. He was going under through all these lights in his face and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Well, me being like the sensitive type, I said, look, you're going to have to turn all these lights. The guy ended up being Gary Hibbert. It was Gary Hypnotic, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know him from Adam. And I was like, look, are you okay? Stop them lights. It's affecting him. He's suffering a bit. Anyway, I did my set, and I was walking across the car park with my records. You had your big heavy record back then. And this figure came from out the side of me, and it was Hypnotic, and he said to me, I know about your Meltdown, I know about your Churchills and all that. And he said, you can either carry on doing Churchills, packing your decks away every Saturday, or you can come and be a resident at Maxime's. And that was it. That was a turning point right there. It just was a roller coaster ride from there. Because they had Debbie D wanting me to do Zone. They had Gary Hypnotic wanting me to work at Maxime's on overnights, and it just went from there. People say back then, I didn't even see it, but I think it was hectic. You've got him coming on soon.
Yeah.
He said to me one time on a flyer, look how big your name is going. Like, look where it started off at the back of the flyer. You just at the bottom of the flyer.
Yeah.
I never thought anything of it, and my name just went big. People were like,
see, I heard of you before I heard of Meltdown.
People used to ring me up and say, "Oh, your name's on the back of a tape pack," and he'd say, "So what?" Put the phone down.
That's what I used to see on the Zone and the Maxime's tape. That's where I used to see you all the time, and it was.
Yeah, like when we did
you was an icon. You was like that to me. I looked up to you guys because I was younger, obviously, and I'm looking up like you guys.
Domino came to Churchill's,
but
I didn't know Domino back then.
Right.
I remember he came and he got on the mic a few times at Churchill's. We did this leading up to when we first started Churchill's and Meltdown. By Christmas, it was massive.
Yeah.
Farrell got Ricky on, DJ Ricky.
Yeah.
Well, I'd heard about Ricky, but it was only ever from growing up, and he had this one tape that two of the tracks used to stand out of it from Sequins. I never thought I'd get these records. We all went on a holiday together. There was like 30 odd of us went to Tenerife. And I remember speaking to Ricky and saying, how can I get these records that you played on the set that night? And he used to say, you'll never get them. He was only joking. They were really hard to get hold of back then. Anyway, there was a record shop in Tenerife. I remember being on the phone to Phil, and I was like, what's this? What's this? And I remember I've packed them in my suitcase. I got 3 records from there. A Screamer Deeper was one of them.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of Italian ones I got. I was always on the phone to Phil. What's this? What's this? Because he wanted so much for
that
his
phone.
records.
He used to be engaged all the time.
Yeah. But I had him on his hands and knees. I used to say to him, what's this track? And he would, would you play it? And he'd go looking for it, rooting around the shop.
Yeah.
They were the good days.
Oh,
they were the days. So anyway, going back to the Hypnotic thing, it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
I gave Churchill's up. I went in and said, I'm going to have to, things are moving on really fast. I'm going to have to give this up. I never ever thought I was going to do Churchill's and it would grow something from there. I never thought I'd end up at Maxime's. Where, bearing in mind, 2 years previous to that, I'd probably gone to a night there with my cousin and stuff like that, and been in all the DJs.
Yeah.
Been someone in a crowd.
Mad how fast it happens, isn't it?
Yeah,
1 minute you're there in the crowd looking up, and the next minute you're there on top of the crowd looking down at them. You know what I mean?
You've just got to stay humble. Like I said to you, around this time, people ringing me up saying, "Oh, your name's on the back of tape packs, and you can't believe it's you, and your name's on posters." And you just used to go, "So what?" Put the phone down.
Did you?
Yeah. And like I said, we played this night, and it was busy. We had Ricky on and that, and there was another night we did in Bar Cuba Remember Bar?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Bar Peru, sorry, in Bolton.
All right, yeah.
And Ricky was on upstairs, and I was downstairs in the toilet, and some guy asked me for my autograph, and I was like, "Fucking Ricky's upstairs."
Yeah.
Sorry for swearing on it.
No, you're all right.
Ricky's upstairs. Why do you want my effing autograph? Go and ask for him. He's a god. Why do you want my autograph? A week after that, I was in Maxime's, and I told this story to Hypnotic. And Hypnotic, honestly, he's helped me so much. And he went, "They see you as someone.
Of course I do.
Don't be that person who cancels them out."
Why was you a bit
and
ignorant?
Became really good friends.
Was you a bit ignorant towards it, like?
Yeah, because
like, say you're putting the phone down.
You don't believe it. You're on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
You don't want any either.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times, it got to a stage where I was DJing in Benidorm and someone wanted to carry me record box in, and I'm like, "No, carry my own record box in." But Hypnotic grounded me, and he said, "Look, they see you as something." I think it was Ricky as well, because I told him this story, and he said, "Don't brush them off.
Yeah.
They're your fan base. They see something in you. Yeah. You're something to them."
Of course.
And that's when it all changed. That's when, I became like this crowd pleaser.
Yeah. Because you recognised it then.
Yeah, and I did another night in Blackpool. Phil put me on this other night. I've still got the flyers from it.
What was that?
My brother and my sister-in-law back then, they were buying me like it was coming more and more commercial on telly and things like that. The scene, and he bought me this book. And last night a DJ saved my life, and it was all bits of it where music started from, the wheel and disco and all through the ages.
Yeah.
And I used to read it. I've still got it. I have it stood up on my wardrobe. It's like a godsend, that book. And I did this club in Blackpool, and he emptied the floor.
Did you?
Yeah, because
where was it?
Like you've got this chip on your shoulder. I can't remember what it was called now. Still got the flyers.
Thinking you're the boy and that.
And I emptied the floor, and I was like, "Wow, you just the cloud
brought you back down to earth." Yeah.
And I went home that night, and all through growing up, Fatboy Slim I hated. I used to hate him.
Yeah.
I used to think, you've been a pop star, now you're a DJ. Same with Boy George. I got a chance to meet Boy George once backstage in Temple. I didn't go meet him and shake his hand and talk to him because I didn't like him. You've been a pop star. You've not had to struggle to do what we're doing. You've already made as a pop star.
Yeah.
And
I was before a pop star. He was DJ before a pop star, though, wasn't he?
No, he was Culture Club. He was a pop singer, and then he became like Boy George became like a DJ. Ministry of Sound. They've not struggled. They've already part of it.
Just what in the names?
They've got they've already got the agents and things like that moving them on.
Yeah.
So I just used to brush it off and ignore it. So anyway, I grabbed this book. I sat on my bed. I just emptied a dance floor. I felt like crap.
Yeah.
People going, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." And I was flicking through this book. And right near the end of the book, I think it's on the last page. And there's a piece. And it says basically, a real good DJ watches the crowd and what music's working.
Yeah.
A bad DJ watches himself and what music he's playing to himself.
Of course.
Who wrote that piece in that book?
Go on.
Fatboy Slim.
There you go. So what happened then? You like Fatboy Slim after that?
It changed basically after that.
Yeah.
I started to play records that I liked, but I also thought would work with a crowd.
Yeah.
Which is why I tend to play.
That's a DJ in a whole then.
Yeah, people seem to say like a lot of the times they hear records like what you've never heard played before. A lot of people have said I've got a lot of secret tunes. Like I'll play like music what had not been heard before. So when I went to Maxime's, I tried to find out music, my own style of music, what people weren't playing. So I went to Phil, and he used to have like, there's a very famous night of Zone. I'd been to Melody House a week before, and he used to have this rack in a corner at the top, and they're all like £10 tunes. And I put this record on in his shop, and I loved it. Yeah. It was really stood out for me. And then Phil looked over my shoulder. He went, "You don't play that, will you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll play that." And we went to Maxime's a week after, and it was rammed. There were people queuing up outside saying my name as I walked in and stuff like that. What time you on? Can't wait for it. And I started my set with this record.
Yeah.
Right. And back then, because I'd started to grow with the music, you start to put your hands up in the air and want the crowd to warm to what you're playing.
Yeah,
so
of
you want
course.
that crowd to interact to what you're playing.
Yeah, yeah.
Going back to the real DJ watches the crowd and how they play.
Yeah, yeah.
It all stuck in my head. Like, I can't still believe to this day that the guy I hated gave me the best advice out in a book.
There you go, yeah. Just
After-
shows you, don't
after
judge
the-
a book by its
after
cover.
just- that's it.
Yeah.
You should, they never judge a book by its cover, exactly. And I played this record, and within a week it became a £100 tune. Phil was selling it for a £100 tune. Everyone was going,
What is it? Like, yeah,
it was they called it. Everyone was calling it the computer song,
right.
and it's not by computer. It wasn't by that. I can't remember who it's by now. But it was a top shelfer.
What was it? What track?
Someone will probably have to text in and say what it was called now. It was on 21st Century. Anyway, I remember having a chat with Phil and we're having a cup of coffee and that. And I said to Phil, 21st Century, I said, I like that. It goes with Selex. Why don't we like make it so I play all the 21st century, like out there stuff what no one's playing and become like 21st century. Anyway, I like that. 21st Century Selex. But I came up with the idea and it just worked. And everyone was going, your 21st Century Selex. And most of my records, to be fair, are 21st Century.
Right.
I got loads of them. Phil gave me tons of them.
Right.
And it's like
So
birthday presents off people. Phil
Yeah.
gave me birthday presents full of them and stuff like that. And I just played all the other tunes that no one else was playing. And it just started to become like a crowd pleaser. And I kept the crowd in for the last hour. Apparently, I'm still the only DJ to keep people in on the last hour at Maxime's. I didn't even know that till someone told me. And you just change. Everything just changes on from that moment on. I got gigs. I did Zone versus Alive in Blackpool, in Halifax. Sorry, that was
the tram shed.
What a place that was.
Yeah.
That was unreal. The crowd used to go mad for the music up there. We used to do what was
Big scene up there, isn't there?
DNA. Do you remember DNA
Oh,
with the fake flames
of course
behind
I remember
you when you were
DNA.
DJ?
Yeah. We were one of the first ones to get in there, DNA, when we used to do the Sanctuaries and then Devotion, and then the Melody House, the Melody House promotions events, and
Melody House promotions, remember Lineker's?
Yeah.
With the monitor was on the ceiling.
Lineker's was brilliant. That brings back some memories. Oh my God, yeah, we used to. That was kind of. I'd been into it then for a good couple of years, like doing the Sanctuary, the Crick, and things like that, and then. Then Phil took me under his wing, so I used to be the resident for Melody House promotions. So I was. That's what got me with all you guys. I think emceeing with all the Zone DJs, all my favourites, and that's when I was in awe, and I was like, fucking hell, I'm on with everyone here, and Capstick and you and whoever else, and it was that was amazing for me.
Yeah,
and Phil really took me under his wing, and
he did. He did
thank him a lot for that.
I do as well. He did a lot for me as well. So, but going back, there was another time where with Turnkey, when I did Turnkey, lads used to come in and try and MC.
Yeah.
And there was another MC that turned up one night and he stood out. So I put him on. And we used to do the recordings. In Turnkey, they had one of them old cassettes, things where you could record.
Yeah.
So you take a blank cassette down, record your night, take it with you. And Cheers Bar was open then on top corner. Remember Cheers Bar, top of King Street, where Maxime's used to promote all stuff in there. Yeah. So I did Scott's as well. I used to do Scott's over the road. What a place that was! By all the things were like you nearly get electrocuted trying to use the decks. All the things were missing off the, the lights on the decks and stuff like that. God, you nearly used to kill yourself trying to DJ in there. I did Europa Bar for Hypnotic. That were crazy as well. They had this massive mixer. Used to be like Stretch Armstrong trying to anyone who DJ'd there would know. Used to be like Stretch Armstrong trying to use the mixer in there. But that was a brilliant night. Hypnotic was away one night and I had the other MC who used to come at Turnkey. Farrell ended up bringing him to Churchill's.
Yeah.
And it was an instant thing. We looked at each other and I went, I know you. And he was like, I know you. And it was MC Dodger.
Right.
But I'd be letting him on the mic for a few times at doing Turnkey. Well, he ended up being one of Farrell's best mates. So we had MC Dodger and FEZ on Meltdown.
Yeah.
And it just became, I think that helped it because they used to work so well together.
What? So when did you start Meltdown then? What year was that?
Meltdown started, like I said, from a talking compulsion, and that was around about 98, 99.
98,
Yeah.
99, wow. And what year did it stop? When was your last Meltdown event?
The last Meltdown was 2005, 2006, roughly 2005, 2006.
Where was that at? What was your last event
I was
like?
doing a place called Nemesis in Blackpool, in Halifax.
Yeah.
We'd done a few, because they had a banner made called Next Stop Your Town, and I took Meltdown on the road, and I used to get like quite a lot of bookings. I used to take it to a few places.
Yeah.
And we was doing this birthday event for Meltdown. When Meltdown started at the Cricketer, there was a young lad who used to jump up and down in front of the DJ box in Maxime's. Anthony, he was called. I became really good friends with Anthony. We'll probably go more about that in part 2, because Meltdown started back up again at the Cricketer.
Yeah.
So when I was doing Zone at Maxime's,
yeah,
I got involved in the wrong side of Zone.
Right.
Debbie D weren't really running it back then.
Right.
It was the guy she was with at the time, and I got really involved with stuff that I shouldn't have done. You know, looking back, you don't know. You just get told stuff and you repeat stuff you shouldn't really repeat.
Yeah.
But we'll not go into that. So
you can do if you want. I mean,
that sort of like became. People think I left Zone. I didn't leave Zone.
Right.
I walked in Maxime's one night, and Andy D said to me, when Daz Birchall messes up, because I got involved in his politics with him and Debbie and stuff like that. He didn't like it. So his way forward was, I've had a few of my cars smashed up for him and things like that in the past.
Yeah.
Through getting involved in this other stuff, but we won't, like I said, we won't really go into that, because time is a healer. It's gone.
Yeah, of course.
You know, where is he now? Where I'm still going.
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah. So you walked into Zone one night.
Yeah. And at that time I didn't know that. You don't know. You just think, you know, what? Right when he messes up, I'm due on. I'm supposed to be on tonight. I'm booked. He's on instead. When he messes up, I'll be back on. That. You didn't know. I didn't know at the time until after speaking to Gary Hypnotic and Pete Midgley that they weren't involved. They didn't even know any of this was happening. I walked out the club.
That's Birchall's not about to be messing up either, really.
Right. Well, he apparently was told to act like Gary Selex and jump around and play rock to the rhythm and things like that. I won't go into that. I don't care.
No, you're all right.
I went out the club.
Yeah.
Tail between my legs. Went down. Went into Cricketer. Sat down in the chill out room, and William came over to me.
Right.
And he said to me, you know, don't worry about it. You used to do a night before this, you know, before you got took on at Zone and all that. You used to do a night, you know, why don't you bring your night here? You know, we've got a sanctuary here. We've got a couple of other things. Why don't you bring your night back? So I started Meltdown back up again.
Yeah.
And I went to a proper.
Was it the Versus nights that you started first? The Sanctuary Versus Meltdown?
No, that
came later.
That came after. Yeah. I built it up slowly. I was still doing other places back then. I was doing a Central Bar in Horwich. What a crazy place that was. I used to kick off all the time.
Yeah. I remember the place.
But they were still good because they were still busy. Back then, you could fill anywhere. You know.
It was at its prime, wasn't it? That was at its heart.
I used to talk a lot with Brownie, PMB.
Yeah.
I'd met PMB. I didn't even realise. He came in Churchill's one night, and I'd been being introduced to this guy and Brownie, and it's a big guy, massive guy.
Yeah. It's like a bouncer, doesn't it?
I ended up meeting up with him again. He's a sound guy, but I always go back to the time where, but if I'd have known at the time where he was, I'd have probably put him on as a guest at Churchill's, but back then I didn't know. I just got introduced to him.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of the recordings unreleased where you hear like Domino and things like that. I mean, there's Farrell with his famous "You Can't Touch Me." I've got the first time when he ever did that was 2000, early 99, 2000. He did it and I was playing an old school track, and he did it on the Meltdown tape.
Right.
People think that it came about through bounce. It didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I've got the first time he ever did it, right? Because
this needs to go on a USB. You need to be selling this stuff.
He used to try different things all the time.
Yeah.
I always knew it would amount to something.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just knew it. Obviously, when I went to Maxime's, he went to Cricketer and started the all-nighters working with Foreplay.
Yeah.
And I went off and did Zone. So we went our separate ways type thing. But then we ended up meeting back up through, obviously, this thing going wrong at Maxime's. And I didn't leave Zone. I just decided I'm not going to even mention it to anyone. I'm just going to go off and forget about it. Anyway, I had a meeting with... I spoke to Gaz and Pete separately, and they didn't even know anything this had gone on. So we ended up getting booked again for doing just normal, like Maxime's nights, where they were only nights what they were running. I weren't doing Zone no more.
Yeah.
And that's because I've always been good mates with Gaz. He's always kept me grounded, and always give me good. He's one of the best people for giving good advice. You go around his house, he's a friend. I keep saying I'll catch up with him. You don't see these people for years, and you catch up with him, and he'll still be the same as he was when I first met him.
Of course, yeah.
He's just one of them. There was a lot of really nice, genuine people. Pete Monsoon's another one, there's a lot of really genuine people who don't get the recognition for what they have done in the scene.
Yeah.
And I think, the kids coming through will never, ever see that again.
No. It's different now.
It is a lot different.
It's all egotistic.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah. Look what I can do, I've got this many following. No one cared back then.
No, it's not about that.
You just took it on the chin.
Yeah,
but you had to stay grounded.
Yeah.
Like,
you had to be humble. You had to.
Obviously, going back through that time with saying, so what, I'm putting the phone down. I grew as a DJ. Through DJ Hectic is another one who spoke to me, and he said, he used to put me on at some of his events he used to do. And I became really good friends with him, and he influenced me a lot and said, you should take it on board. Is Gary Selex, he see you or something?
Yeah, of course.
And we did a famous night in Monroe's, and I signed a record for a girl and gave it her, and it felt so good after.
Yeah.
You start to grow with it.
Yeah.
Because they see you as something. Why are they asking will you sign this record for me? Whereas maybe 2, 3, 4 years before that, I would have gone, no, go away.
Yeah.
And I did it. I signed it, and I gave it them. I think it was a Flip and Phil record.
Makes you feel good, though, doesn't it, as well?
It was a Clubland record, and they were giving them out in the crowd, and these girls come over and they went, Gary Selex, will you sign this? And I signed it. It was a good feeling. Do you know what I mean?
It's recent when we used to go up into Workington. They were massive on that. I used to get flyers handed me, sign this, Paulie, sign this, Paulie, and you're signing your autographs and stuff. It's kind of it makes you feel good. You know what I mean? It is a good feel good factor. And, you know yourself though. I'm just a normal dude. You know what I mean? I'm just getting up on the mic or whatever and just having a laugh. And I'm here for you guys. It's not like kind of a, you don't feel like a celebrity, but they look at you like one.
But right? Okay, so let's go back to this. You start to feel like our celebrity would feel because you go into clubs. I remember going to a club in Liverpool, and growing up, I used to watch Grange Hill.
Right. Yeah.
And there was that Ziggy was known. He was in that club.
Right.
And everyone was admiring him.
Yeah.
Well, because obviously I was this known DJ back then, I sort of went to him as a person, as the person he was.
Mm.
I had his mobile number and everything. I ended up losing it and all that, but I used to talk to him as a person.
Yeah, just like a normal person.
I went home and told my parents and my brother, and I'm saying, I've mates with that Ziggy from Grange Hill.
Yeah.
Know him on personal terms. I met him in a club, but because I weren't saying, will you sign this, or I was more of a down to earth person with him, he appreciated that.
Of course.
And if
you get mithered, you just get mithered, don't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You
can understand. I mean, there's a few people on the scene, and in different scenes, actually, different genres, and what I've gone through, and and it's like, I'll mention it now. I mean, like Farrell, for instance, he's hard to get through to. He's hard to get hold of. You know what I mean? You message him, and he's one of them people, and it's like he'll speak to you when he wants to speak to you because he must be mithered that much off people over the years. He just can't be doing with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even because I've been out the scene for a long time, and it's I don't know. It's just him. You know what I mean? But I know a lot of people like that, where they just get mithered all the time, and they're hard to get hold of because of that. Yeah. And it's a shame, really. You know what I mean? But you can understand it as well. You can understand it. So you don't take it to heart. You know what I mean? It's right. Yeah, you're a busy guy. You know what I mean? Whatever. You know, I understand it completely. You know, because I've been like that as well, where you're just getting hammered by people. And I think to myself sometimes, you know, I look back and I think I've ignored them. You know what I mean? And it makes me feel like shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
So
I've ignored them. You know what I mean? And so I go back and message him. Oh, sorry, didn't speak to you the other day. I was busy.
yeah,
But I'll always go back. And if I have ever ignored anybody, like, you know, on a message or anything like that, I apologize now. You know what I mean? I'll
yeah,
say to you all now that, you know, I do apologize. I must have been busy or in a bit of a dark place, maybe going through some shit, and you know, couldn't speak to you at that time. But you know, and that's how it is. I
yeah.
think
You've been through
sometimes,
your own journey. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
you know,
Did you ever, when it started to grow on you and big, and people were noticing you all the time, did you ever avoid certain places, your own towns?
I never avoided certain places because I didn't really realize myself, like, in a sense that I was where I was at. People used to think I was an ignorant. Yeah,
Right.
people used to think I was ignorant. I was this person. I thought I was a big head. All this stuff. I was never like that. I'm never like that. I'm a sensitive guy. You know what I mean? I'm very humble. You know what I mean? It's my
Yeah.
ADHD and things like that come across like I'm this. You know, I'm very loud. You see, everybody knows I'm in the room when I'm in the room. Everybody knows I'm in a mood when I'm in a mood. Everybody feels it.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of get that, but I've never. If somebody wanted to speak to me, or you know, they wanted to, everybody used to come to me and be like, that had met me.
If you was
on
out,
a personal level,
yeah.
they'd be like, "I thought you was a knobhead, but you're not."
If you was on,
You know, and it's like I'm not. Cheers, lads. You know what I mean?
If you was out on a night out, would you hate the fact that you were just out on a normal night out and people were recognising you, mithering you?
Everywhere I go.
That's what I was like.
Everywhere
I used to
go,
avoid Wigan, all the known places, St Helens, because obviously DJ'd there. Anywhere where people knew me, knew about me around the northwest, I used to avoid. I used to go to Wales. I started spending more time in Wales, out
Everyone
the way,
knew,
in
yeah.
the caravan, you know, away from it all and just doing different things. Because Halifax, I'd stay away
Did you
from
hate it?
Blackpool. Yeah, because you're out on a night out with your friends and people come sit down and you say, I've got all your CDs.
Oh, I thrived off it, me a little bit. I
But
thrived
then
off it
when
in
you
a
go
way.
to Benidorm and then you get recognised in Benidorm, and it's like,
all
whoa,
over.
I can't escape it.
Can't go anywhere.
No, that's
you know,
it.
And
yeah,
that's what I used to be like that. But because of my ADHD, which I didn't know I had, you know what I mean. I used to buzz off that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, new and something exciting, new. They not recognise me. I didn't buzz. You know, I wasn't like a big head about it, but I used to like it in the fact that, hiya. You know what I mean? I'd go and speak to him.
yeah.
Like,
So
it just used to get my endorphins going and stuff.
we'll go back to the days of the cricketer.
Yeah.
He didn't have a logo.
Right.
It was just Meltdown, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
it didn't have a logo. So he had all. I remember. They've got lost over the years, but if anyone's got any out there, the original Meltdown flyers, can I have them, please?
Yeah. So my stepdad
before the logo.
I had a few, I think.
You know, I'd love to get hold of some of them, the ones that I used to design on my old computer and things like that when I lived in Leigh. I had to get a logo. So there was, I'll find it and I'll put it out because I found it recently digging through stuff. I've still got the original invoice for the first ever flyers they had made and the logo. They didn't charge me for the logo. There was a company in Warrington and I went and visited them and they did like a printing company.
Right.
And I don't know what, like, it's just one of them surreal moments again. He kind of realised they needed a logo. So he designed me this logo and it looked so much like the Dinky logo, but it was, did you ever see it?
Yeah,
With the
of course.
hand and
Yeah.
on the deck. And it became unique.
Yeah.
So we had a banner made with Meltdown Next Stop Your Town because I wanted to move it on from different places. And Farrell will tell you it was unique. That logo was just unique. And I designed my first flyer and it just grew. It just grew. And then I had to find some DJs then and some MCs because Farrell was doing his own thing.
Your residents, like?
My residents, yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing a place in Leigh, a nightclub in Leigh. What was it called now? I forgot what it was called. And I was working for a guy called Pete in Leigh.
Right.
And there was two young lads. One was called Neb and one was called and Pilkinson, yeah. They wanted to get on at Meltdown because they loved it. They loved all the old tapes from Churchill's. They wanted to get on. So I gave them a shot. And then they were just, were unique, but I needed something different. And around that time, there was a recreation event happening.
Yeah.
And Marie Hind was on it.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yeah.
Marie Hind was on it. And I was on the same bill, and they booked me, because obviously I was getting more bookings, doing different things. As MC stood out, MC Arke.
Yeah.
I went to him at the end of the night, and I went, I want to take you away from this. I'll come and work at Meltdown. So I took him on board at Meltdown. Well, obviously, he grew as an MC.
Oh, yeah.
And I became like I don't know, I became more of a promoter than a DJ. I became more of a agent, spy, recognising talent when I seen it.
Yeah.
And I used to spot DJs and spot MCs. And when I think about it now, there was another time where
He was kind of a gateway for these young people coming in. Yeah,
for
yeah.
a lot of the MCs.
Yeah, you was.
What came on and giving DJs.
You give a lot of talent. Yeah, you got them in
Candy
there.
and Grundy were on a few of my events and things like that. They used to say, "We'll sell tickets to our friends and we'll come and DJ for you."
Yeah, you could do. I mean, Meltdown was that kind of. It was that kind of event. It was like the newcomers.
Yeah, I was at Melody House one day. Phil mentioned Mike Davis to me. He was just a regular customer.
Yeah.
I put Mike Davis, and me and him used to work so well
What's
together.
happened to Mike? Where's he?
He's still
he now?
DJing. I still catch up with him every now and again.
I've not seen him for
Got
years.
some funny stories to tell you about Mike Davis, but we'll go into that more in part 2.
Yeah.
He is a character.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly,
He is a character.
I love him to bits. He's amazing, right?
Does he still live on his barge?
No, that's another story. Yeah. That is just Mike all over. Phil told me that's what he was like when I met him.
Brilliant.
I lived in Lee at the
Loved
time.
him.
He used to come down my house all the time. I mean, one famous time where he took me off to Glossop, and I'd never drove a car back in my life, like an automatic car in my life, and I nearly went through the frigging windscreen on my way back. You know, because you put your foot on a brake, you're thinking like you're trying to drive a normal Mercedes. This was an automatic, nearly went through the pissing windscreen. But yeah, Mike Davis, what a character. Another time, he turns up in Lee, he says, "Oh, we're going to Melody House, jump in."
Yeah.
What, in this? And he was in one of them MGs, you know, where the roof used to come down.
Oh, yeah.
And the rooftop was down.
Yeah.
So we get on the M6, started pissing it down with rain. So we pulls up at the hard shoulder. And he went, "Right, we'll get the roof on, come on, get the roof on." So I'm holding on to this roof. You have to keep hold of it. The things are knackered. So my thumbs were nearly dropping off by the time we got to Blackpool. My thumbs were killing me, you know, because you're holding something that tight.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the roof going because it blew off. We just got piss wet through. That was just Mike all over. What a character he was. And but that was more for the crick side of it.
Yeah.
A lot of people asking questions about the cricketer with the crowd disappearing.
Yeah.
You know, was that the end of Meltdown? What was the reason? That is not the reason why Meltdown ended. Just the reason, exactly what I've put right today, was the reason Zone didn't end through Zone ending me. Zone ended through me ending it with Zone because of what I was told. Yeah. You know, you're a DJ, you've got a DJ on in front of you. You just think, right, okay, who's this clown? You know, and away you go. And it carried on my next journey. Yeah. Because from then I went to then we're doing bass to bounce, but we'll do more of that in part 2.
Yeah, we'll go into that, yeah.
So I hope I've influenced a lot of people just to show you where it started from. Yeah, and now you can keep going.
Yeah, of course.
The people you meet along the way, you'll probably meet again at some part of your life. I mean, I've DJ'd with DJ Sai. Yeah. The guy who I first went into the arena with at
I've MC'd with him,
Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
You know, looking up to. Never thought I'd shake his hand. And I've told them all these stories. They're all, what they do is, when you speak to them about these stories, they stamp back a bit and they can't believe that your journeys took you from where you were. Yeah. And they like things like that because a lot of them still just carry on going listening to hardcore. Yeah. And when you meet them people, they become like your idols. And I've met so many people over the years, big names and things like that. A lot of them through Hypnotic. Like, again, you know, he's done so much for people. People don't realise how much of an influence he is when you get to meet him.
We'll have him on the show. He's going to come on the show soon.
He's got some stories. Honestly, he will have some stories. But yeah, I hope, like, from the start of it, through the hip hop and the graffiti and all that, you know, back then, as where it all came from, the influences made me, you know, the person that I've become and still am, hopefully, today. A lot of people say that I'm an underrated DJ. Still got asked a question one night in Maxime's, how do I keep my name and avoid all the big nights? I don't know. I was gobsmacked and didn't know how to answer the question. First time I've been speechless probably in my life when someone asked me that question. The guy was Craig Smart.
Right, yeah.
He asked me that question in Maxime's and I couldn't answer it.
No.
How do you keep your name going without playing on all the bigger events? I don't know. Some people like John
It's
G
your
and a
style.
few
It's your
others
style. You're unique.
say I'm underrated. Maybe I am. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good just to keep that way. Got a lot of things still going on. I've joined Fever. A great bunch of. It's like a family.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
So again, I've gone full circle. The first ever tape, what I used to listen to, the two tracks that stood out. You've got AJ coming on soon.
Yep.
He was MCing on that tape. To meet them, to be playing them records now and own them and play them at Fever. It's full circle. Another influence was playing Mike Stewart's records. I've spoke to him about this. He knows about this story.
Yeah.
There was a studio back in Newton Le Willers which was playing all these crowd pleasers records and producing them. I never thought I'd meet the guy behind them. I've met him now. I met him at the Crit reunion, but I spoke to him on a personal level, and he loves stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's helped me get records that I've been after for years. Well, anyone who I've not mentioned, thanks you for everything. You've helped me to get where I am today, and thank you.
So I've got a couple of questions here from people. I mean, Stephen Rice. Who was your favourite guest DJ, and have you found the tape yet? What's that about?
Oh, he goes on about when he had him on a Christmas do. I keep finding it. I have got it because I did a spot where it worked. We'll go through more of that in part 2 because there's a lot of unheard stuff what went on at the Crick.
Yeah.
So a lot of people did nights at the Crick and didn't really get paid what they should have been getting paid.
Yeah, yeah.
And they all used to attack William. Well, it wasn't really William. It was down to someone else, a young lad who was the manager of the club at the time. But we'll go more into that at part 2.
Yeah.
So we're going to sign off here. Any more questions?
Dream lineup. 4 DJs and 3 MCs previously worked.
Previously worked with?
Yeah. Who's your favourite 4 DJs and 3 MCs? Who would that dream lineup of who and then who you've previously worked with?
Who I've previously worked with?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough. Got to be Hypnotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we used to make it such fun in Maxime's. You'd turn around, grab a record, turn around, and then he'd touch the pitch control and made it go off, or move the needle and left it on at the side. Tickle Go will tell you about stuff like this. The antics we used to get up to. You brought into that. You brought into a family.
Yeah, of course.
Pete Daly, what a legend. They all used to have such a laugh in Maxime's. It was like a family. You weren't a DJ,
Yeah.
You're
part of something. Of course you was. Part of the movement.
You were part of that great unique family. Gary Hypnotic, dream lineup. Oh God, that was a great moment when I played with DJ Sai at Bass to Bounce and he playing all the cheeky track stuff. That was a good night. Other DJ, John G, another one, another guy who helps you. If you're struggling with any of the Italian tracks, he'll tell you.
Oh yeah, top guy.
Help you out with it. Yeah, there's just so many people.
What about MCs?
MCs got to be Farrell.
Yeah,
we will still work so well together now. I mean, he's not always got the time because he's a busy person. Domino used to recognise. He used to work the crowd really well with me.
Yeah.
At Maxime's. Dodger, another crowd pleasing MC, doesn't get enough recognition for what he did back in the day.
Yeah.
MCs, God, Sticksman was a big one for me.
Right.
MC Sticksman.
Who's that? Who's Sticksman?
He was Majika and Sticksman. A lot of people in the hardcore scene, Ectic will know about him.
Right.
There was a lot of MCs back then. On the hardcore scene, used to stand out for you.
Yeah.
Science Storm, obviously. They was like watching a show, Vibes and Lively.
Yeah, of course.
MCs in the scene now. There's so many good ones.
What about the Wizard?
Wizard, yeah. I took him back to my house one time. There was a famous night where I picked him up when I was doing Tramshed. And I picked him up outside his house and I was waiting for him to get ready. And he went, yeah, just have a sit down. He went, get the Bible. And he stuck this book on my knee.
Right.
And I've never seen as many lyrics in my life. It was just full of all his lyrics. It was called the Bible, Wizard's Bible. It was called. I'll never forget it.
We need this Bible. Where is it?
And yeah. Again, I took him back. You couldn't shut him up. Honestly, he was in the back of the car, wound the window down. He was rapping about crisp packets and chip papers on the floor. You couldn't stop him at the services. My parents were away. I took him back. I don't know if someone somewhere still got that recording, but it was recorded, that set from my house, my parents' house in Haydock. Took him back there and we did a set. There's a set with Farrell, what we did. I've got the tape from that, and I've got the tape from Dodger where we did like exclusive recordings. MCs on the scene. Duffy was another one who I introduced on the scene.
Yeah.
A lot of people think he's around now and they made him. No.
Yeah.
He was on a cricketer all nighter, and I heard him, and I went down and spoke to him and said, "Look, I want you on Meltdown."
Yeah.
And I put him on Meltdown, and he grew from there. He used to smash MCs to bits when he used to take him out. Little kid,
another level, wasn't he?
Little young lad, hand in his pocket, confident as anything, one hand in his pocket, mic on the other hand, smashed the other MCs in Burnley to bits.
Just didn't move, did he? He
No,
was just there.
Yeah. You know, he had it all.
Yeah.
Other MCs, there's been too many.
Yeah.
A lot of them, were packed in. Kingy was another good MC.
Walsh as well.
Walsh was another good MC. Nico, They were just all. Culver, Viper, all the Blackout ones. Yeah. I've worked with them all.
Yeah.
They're all like my mates. It's a family, isn't it?
Of course it is.
When you know all them people.
There is a lot of politics behind it, though, isn't there? Which we'll talk about on part 2. Like, we'll go into a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you weren't allowed, you did peer. You did Maxims, you weren't allowed to do peer.
Yeah.
Peer had no MCs, Maxims did all that. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when you come in again. We'll get right deep into it, and it'll be a good show. But yeah, thank you very much for coming in, mate, and I can't wait to see you next.
No worries.
We'll have a right good chat, and in the meantime, I think we should try and get some of these old tapes and stuff together. Get them all down and get them on a USB and get them out there, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, share it all. We need to. It's nostalgic. Do you know what I mean? All the old, it's just bringing it all back with all the memories. Yeah. And then, make a few quid for yourself as well at the same time.
Well, it's not about money for me. It's about,
Same here, mate.
Because at school I was told it wouldn't amount to nothing. So it's about more of taking me away from all that and saying, right, okay, whatever. I will make something of myself type thing.
Yeah.
And I hope it influences people.
Yeah, of course.
I will do. Hopefully one day I hope to write an autobiography because there's so much to tell. Yeah. And so many stories which, I could go on forever.
Get it done. Get it started.
The reason we're going to part 2 why Meltdown ended was because a birthday night turned into a memorial event, and not a lot of people on the scene will ever go through that what I went through. So out of respect for someone who used to work for me, who was a great friend, I used to see his family a lot, and he helped me with making flyers for Meltdown, was the reason why it ended. Right. So that's the real reason why it ended, not through the crowd. Not people not going or anything like that. Meltdown probably would have gone on to grow to as big as what Sanctuary still is going now if I'd have carried it on. But out of respect for him, I ended it because I had to go and watch the guy in hospital. Yeah. And there was RG was there, DJ RG, pitch invader. He was, great guy. He was a good mate of Anthony's as well. He probably the only person who probably understands why I didn't carry Meltdown on. Yeah. Joe Taylor. I had Joe Taylor on through Meltdown. He came to Cricketer through Bonadie. Yeah. But we'll go more into that. There's some funny stories from Cricketer with Anthony, the antics we used to get up to and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's been great talking about it all. And brilliant. Hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. Cheers. In a bit.